started my video camera. I looked down like I was looking at a text, and I started the video, and I put the video like this.
This man had recorded something horrifying. His ex-girlfriend's confession was about to open the door to a murder investigation.
Now, what are you gonna do?
What do you mean?
That I told you.
I can't believe that you murdered.
Not me. Me and my sister.
I can't believe
Don't
that
put it just on me.
What started as a simple recording quickly pulled detectives into a dark and messy case where the truth kept slipping through the cracks.
I thought I could trust him. Then he was trying to black me. What do you mean? I had sex with him for eternity.
At first, the police were skeptical regarding the information Marshall claimed to possess. But his air of confidence in the interrogation room would soon begin to convince them otherwise.
I have video. Okay. It's not on here yet. I brought this to help facilitate transferring it to you. Okay. Do you mind us letting us see the video? It's on my phone right now. Like I said, my phone's private. I'd like to keep my phone private, but I have to transfer the video. Can you transfer the video there? I'm going to try to do that now.
Okay, that's fine.
That's fine. And then what I'm going to do is you go to your anywhere in this building that you can find a thumb drive. Yes, sir. And I'll give it to you. This way, this will stay.
That's fine.
Marshall claimed to have vital new information regarding the death of Anthony Tomaselli, a senior citizen who had passed away 4 years ago. At the time, the death had been checked and ruled as natural causes, but Marshall claimed that he had learned that its nature was far more sinister than it had initially appeared.
Now, you said you received some, so let's start from the beginning, okay? What made you contact us here? Well, I was told by a friend. And who's that friend? Linda Roberts. When did you see her? Yesterday.
He then went on to explain that the information had come to him from Linda Roberts, none other than the daughter of the deceased. But the police needed to know more, so they began to press Marshall about how he knew Linda. But the twisted explanation he would reveal would leave them floored.
How long have you known her? Since I believe it was maybe September of last year. What's your relationship with her? Friends. Friends? Any intimate relationship? There was. Okay. I want you to be, see, the thing is I want you to be very honest with me. Okay. So just tell me what happened, what transpired with this? With which part? With this whole yesterday's. How did you meet her? I met her sister first. Okay. Her name is Maribeth Tomaselli.
Marshall revealed that he had met Maribeth on Facebook the year prior. The pair had gone out on a few dates before Maribeth had introduced him to her younger sister, Linda, whom Marshall was immediately smitten by. He and Linda had then proceeded to engage in a secret affair. But before long, Maribeth became aware of this, and all hell broke loose between the sisters.
So you had an intimate relationship. How long did that last? Just a couple occasions with the sister Maribeth, and then more with Linda. But pretty much came to an end. So when did it come to an end? Off and on. The end was sort of about a month ago.
Marshall said he broke up with Linda because she seemed mentally unstable. After that, she began stalking him, making fake social media accounts just to keep tabs on him. Then in February 2019, she begged to meet one last time, claiming she just wanted to explain. But what she told him that day shook him to his core.
So like a week went by, and then this happened yesterday. She said, please, I want to talk to you. I have to tell you something very important about why this has happened, why I'm this way. I know I've said things and done things that have upset you. And she asked me to come over to talk in person. I did. I went over. And then she started telling me, you don't understand what happened to me in my lifetime and why I'm this way, why I'm so messed up. And she said it has to do with my father. And I said, wow, that sounds pretty bad. Of course, I was assuming something completely different. Mm-hmm. And I said, I know people. I've I've talked to people, I know I have a little experience in people that are messed up because of their parents. You can tell me if that's what you want to tell me. She said, I've never told anyone. Nobody knows.
Just then his phone rang, breaking the flow of the interview.
And I said, well, these kind of secrets. Well, there she is.
Just ignore it.
Really?
Yeah. You could call her back.
We'll call her back.
We'll call her back later.
We'll call her back, yeah, we'll just talk to her.
The only thing is she's on her way back. She expects to meet me.
Okay.
Just hold on.
No,
No?
No, just let it go.
we'll just.
No, you can call her back. It's no
It's
problem.
fine.
Okay.
Just don't want to break up what's
Yes.
going on here, that's
Okay,
all.
you got it.
After silencing Linda's call, Marshall continued with his story.
So, she, I assume that I'm helping her divulge something that happened to her as a child that
Right.
she had repressed. And I do like her. She's a nice lady in a lot of ways. And so I felt bad at what she was about to tell me. I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, you don't understand, I've never told one soul. Nobody knows. I've never told anybody. The only person that knows is my sister. She knows. I said, oh, geez, this is going on with her as well. I said, tell me. She said, it's nothing sexual, if that's what you're thinking. I was like, that's what I was thinking. You're damaged from sexual abuse as a child. She said, no. I said, then what is it?
Marshall had assumed Linda wanted to talk about her abusive father, but that wasn't it. What she said next was far more disturbing. She told him her father's ghost was haunting her in her dreams and at night. Then she dropped a bombshell that made everything horrifyingly clear.
She said, I ended my father's life.
Is that what she exactly said?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then what did she say? How did it? And then when she said that, what did you do?
I was shocked, and then she said, actually, we ended my father's life, me and my sister. And I said, how did you do this? It was chilling to me.
Okay.
Could both sisters really have conspired to take the life of their own father? The thought alone was hard to grasp. Marshall continued explaining to the police what he had done next.
I started my phone video at that point.
Okay.
I only missed a couple words after she said I ended my father's life. I started my video camera. I looked down like I was looking at a text, and I started the video, and I put the video like this.
He showed the cops the recording, and they could scarcely believe what they were seeing and hearing. Everything Marshall had told them was backed up in the footage of Linda. But there was a problem. Marshall had recorded the footage in a way that made it inadmissible in court. No matter how shocking it was, if the police were to truly build a case against her, they would need a real confession. To get what they needed, the cops came up with a bold plan, asking Anthony Marshall to meet Linda again and record their conversation secretly. Marshall was to meet with Linda again, this time wearing official police recording equipment, and try and elicit the same confession. But Marshall hoped to do even more.
She's texting me that her window's closing, and if we play this right, we might be able to talk to Maribeth. I might be able to talk to her, and Maribeth will walk in from work, and I might be able to spring it on. I think that's the best way. Maribeth's a loose cannon, but if she walks in and says, "What the hell's he doing here?" I might say, "She just told me about that," and she might go, "Oh."
Right.
You know what I mean?
We'll work it out. We got some things coming over here, and we're gonna.
Oh, thanks. Tell me. Just tell me.
I know, we're gonna get the devices and stuff like that, okay? Hang tight here.
Eventually, he was fitted with the recording devices and sent to speak to the sisters. It was a risky plan, as if the sisters got wind of the police's involvement, they could very easily have tried to escape. But in a stroke of luck, they suspected nothing, and Linda was all too ready to go over the details with Marshall again. When he returned to the police station with the recording, everything had worked perfectly. It was now time for the police to analyze the footage, but even they could never have expected just how twisted the confession would be.
This is very hard for me, Anthony.
I know.
I've never told anybody this.
I guess not.
And obviously,
I mean,
I would deny it if you ever told anybody.
Why would I tell somebody? What good is it going to do? You said the body's cremated.
Yes, it's cremated.
Your father's cremated.
We've already been through an investigation. The police.
Who investigated?
The police were there.
The police of where?
Well, so let me tell you. He lay down on the couch.
Wait, this was 7 years ago?
4.
4 years ago?
Yeah.
You killed your father 4 years ago.
Do you have to say it like that?
Well, but
and
that's...
don't just say it to me because it was my sister too.
And Maribeth.
Correct.
Anthony's tone clearly showed how disturbed he was by what he'd just heard. In response, Linda's expression changed, and there was a flicker of remorse. But instead of owning up to anything, she shifted the blame onto her sister, Maribeth. And she didn't stop there. She kept going, spilling even more details about the crime.
We euthanized him. We didn't kill him.
Well, euthanasia is not legal.
Well, it is because hospice does it all the time. They give you the lethal dose of morphine. I've seen it. I've done it myself.
So you think that if you take it upon yourself that your father is suffering and no medical, but he was at home, he wasn't taken to the hospital. You think it's upon your, look, I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but did you really think it was upon yourself to decide whether he should be euthanized? I mean, they arrested that Jack Kevorkian guy.
He didn't want to go to the place that this beautiful place that he was going to go live in. Like 6 of them in a little bit, because he had a drink every night anyway.
Who had a drink every night?
My dad. I said, just put him in a little bit of alcohol, 6, 7 of them, and stir him up, because he was waiting for a drink.
A beverage, alcohol?
Yeah, vodka. So, what does she do? She makes a drink this big.
Maribeth?
Yes. Instead of making a little drink, she makes a big drink. Because the 7 Halcyon, I think it was Halcyon that he was taking, which are very strong, would have been plenty enough to just let him go to sleep and sleep peacefully. So she makes a drink this big. Well, he can't drink a drink this big. So I looked at her and I said, "You f***ed up."
The words coming out of her mouth would send chills down everyone's spine.
I said, so she already handed him the drink. He takes about 4 swigs of it, 5. And in about 15 minutes, his hands started shaking. He was dropping his prayers that he was saying, his holy cards. But I knew he didn't have enough in his system.
Enough what?
Of the Halcyon.
What is Halcyon?
Halcyon's a sleeping pill. It's strong. It's as strong as you can take.
Wait a minute. Your father was taking Halcyon on his own even though he's losing his mind?
No, the doctor was giving it to him. He was prescribing it to him.
To your father?
Yes.
But your father was overusing the Halcyon.
He told the doctor, "I'm going to take what it takes to put me to sleep at night."
And his doctor said, okay, do what you got to do?
Yeah. He's based my
And then since you and Maribeth knew that he was overtaking it, you thought that would be the way because it wouldn't be suspected that you gave him the Halcyon because he was overdosing himself.
Right.
Okay. So that was your plan. So you would dissolve 7 Halcyons in the alcohol.
But instead of putting 2 shots in a cup of vodka, she fills the whole thing up with soda and all this other stuff.
Right, made like a real drink.
Yeah, and she hands it to him. So he took enough to knock him for a loop, really knock him for a loop. But this is very hard for me, Anthony.
I know.
I've never told anybody this.
This was a calculated, cold-blooded murder, and there was no other way around it. According to Linda, their motive for killing their father was to end his suffering. But in reality, they took fate into their own hands, deciding who lived and who died.
Did you guys discuss money before you did this? How you could inherit?
No.
It had nothing to do with money?
Nothing to do with money. It had to
Are
do
you
with
sure?
what we were living with. What we saw, and the doctor had just told me, your father has a massive cancerous, his whole lung is full of cancer. He may have 2 months left to live.
But there's been miracles in the past.
Okay, so what do you want me to do now? Go confess to the police?
As Linda realized things were starting to spiral, she grew more cautious. She consistently reminded Anthony that Maribeth was just as involved in the murder as she was.
I didn't say to do that. Only you know what will set you free.
Nothing will set me free. So then why do you think now what are you going to do?
What do you mean?
That I've told you.
I can't believe that you murdered.
Not me. Me and my sister.
I can't believe
Don't
that
put it just on me. We made the decision together as a pack.
She's a dumb. You're the ringleader. You know that. The first person to think, let's just euthanize him, was you. You know that. And she agreed.
No, it really wasn't.
And she agreed.
No, that's not true.
Oh, you both said it at the same time. You went
Actually,
1,
we
2,
did.
3, let's euthanize.
We both decided at the same time because actually, you don't know my sister. My sister has a temper 10 times worse than I do. See, you don't know if this ever got out and my family found out.
I'm not telling your family. What the fuck is that going to do? It's not going to bring him back.
Bring them back? Are you kidding me?
Right.
They would probably try to put us in jail.
Well, they will put you in jail for murder.
With this valuable confession in hand, the cops moved quickly and brought Maribeth in for an interrogation on March 5th, 2019, hoping to get a clearer picture from her side of the story. Maribeth was already terrified because she had heard the police knew more than she had hoped.
First of all, do you have any idea why you're here? A slight idea or anything why you're here at the sheriff's office?
I think I may have an idea, yes, sir.
Okay.
Let's talk about that. Tell me why you think you're here.
It's okay. Listen, Maribeth, I like honesty, okay? I'm looking at you, and I know something's been bothering you, okay? And that's normal. Do I think you're a bad person?
No.
I don't, okay? Do I think people make mistakes in life, okay? I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. We're not perfect.
The police's reassuring words helped Maribeth relax, and soon she began to open up.
This one night, I came home and my sister, who's in the medical field, she's a certified medical assistant.
Oh, she's an assistant?
A CMA.
Okay.
What's her name?
Okay.
Linda Roberts.
Okay, continue.
She said to me that she had been thinking about Dad and his situation with his lung cancer coming back, with what we were going to deal with, his dementia, him not understanding, and what it was going to be like for him. And the way we felt he was suffering, she said she thought that perhaps we could put him out of his suffering.
Okay.
Was this a conversation you had in person or over the phone?
No, together.
You were together at his
We were
house?
laying in bed together.
Oh, okay, okay.
No.
Just making sure I understand what we're saying. Okay, continue. Sorry.
So you guys were laying, it was you and your sister.
Yeah.
Okay. And this was that Wednesday?
I believe
Wednesday
it
or
was
something?
Wednesday. I
Okay.
believe it was on
So then
Wednesday.
what did you say to that?
Well, at that moment, after everything, the way things were at this time, I had hesitations. However, I understand I don't have the right to take someone's life, if that's what you're asking me.
Maribeth also stuck to the same story that their motive for killing their father was to end his suffering.
I couldn't see my father at 88 going through, sorry, I can
It's
shut
fine.
up.
That's okay.
Going through this surgery. I didn't think he was going to make it through the surgery, this dementia. I couldn't handle watching my father suffer this way 24/7, the way he was going. And unless you lived with him and saw him, and I was with him from Friday night through Sunday morning when I went to work, I was the one that was with him. I honestly felt that I couldn't watch my father suffer this way.
Okay.
So I agreed with her.
The police had finally gotten what they needed. Maribeth confessed that she was involved in the crime. With that confirmation, they shifted their focus to uncovering how the murder was carried out.
And what was the plan?
Her plan was, my father took sleeping pills at night. He took Xanax as well, and blood pressure, and cholesterol. I don't remember exactly what medications my father took. She said that if we were to do this, when my dad had a drink that evening, on that Thursday evening, that we would put, she thought, I think 15 of his sleeping pills. And I don't remember if they were capsules, honestly, or if they were tablets. Put it in his drink, and he would make a big drink.
What was that? What kind of alcohol was that?
Vodka and Coca-Cola. Okay. I believe.
He would drink this every night?
He would drink 2 or 3 every night.
2 or 3 a night, okay.
And most nights he could hardly walk, and he was always falling
Okay.
in the bed. Falling, getting out, going into the bathroom. She said we would put the sleeping pill in his
drink.
when he asked for it about 9 or 10 o'clock. I can't remember about.
So far, everything Linda and Maribeth had said on different occasions matched up. But what Maribeth was about to reveal next was deeply disturbing. She explained that the amount of sleeping pills they had used didn't quite have the desired effect, and Anthony opened his eyes immediately. The sisters were desperate and decided to smother him with a pillow, hoping to finish what the pills had failed to do. But the irony was chilling. They claimed all they wanted to do was end his suffering. Yet when the pillow didn't work, they panicked and resorted to something far more horrifying.
We have to get a washcloth, put it in his mouth, and we're going to have to hold his nose, and
Hold his
we
arm.
had to finish what we had started.
Okay. So at that time,
I believe I held his, I don't know how I held his nose, and I had to try to hold his arms down because,
so you kind of pinned him down.
yeah,
Okay.
with
So
his hand on his
was he
wrist.
fighting? So he was
He
fighting.
was fighting, of course he was fighting to get breath.
Okay. So then,
But to this happened, I mean, it didn't take very long for this. Then once there was no air coming in, I don't know, a few minutes, maybe.
okay.
I honestly, I didn't black out, but I can't, it was like an out of body experience. I can't remember exactly, but that's exactly how it went.
At this point, the whole situation had turned utterly barbaric. After committing the crime, the sisters called 911.
Called the sheriff.
Now, who did the calling?
Honest to God, I don't remember.
How did you get your daughter?
We called 911.
You
Yes,
called
we
her?
called my daughter. Not my daughter. Called 911 and said we found my father on the couch and he's not breathing. My sister did actually jump on top of him, was trying to do CPR.
Which you guys knew.
Which, yes, sir.
And it was all planned for when.
One night was planned.
So what I'm saying is, so when the deputies arrived.
Oh no, yeah, I don't know why she did that.
Did she do CPR while he was on the couch, or was he moved?
No, on the couch.
She tried to do CPR on the
She
couch.
only weighs 100 pounds, so she sat on top of him and was trying to do CPR.
Okay, all right.
So whether it was she was trying to or thought,
Acting like she was
my
trying
God,
or
what
something.
did we do? That can't be in her mind
Of
at
course
this
not.
point, and in mine at this point.
Mhm.
But it was, I'm telling you the truth.
But what Maribeth revealed next would raise serious suspicions about Anthony's health leading up to the murder.
So who decided at that time what story to tell the deputy of what happened
Oh, he told them that we mixed it in his drink, and which is true. Sometimes he would stay up till midnight and watch basketball games, or whatever, baseball.
Right.
I don't remember, but the TV was on, and which was nothing basically other than what we had done was unusual for my father. He would
That was his regular routine.
His regular
except
routine.
for the other.
What we did.
Except for putting the pills in
Yes,
there.
he would have gotten up and made his own drink, 2 or 3 more drinks,
Okay.
and then stumbled to bed.
According to the sisters, Anthony was in pain, but their statements pointed at a different picture. He was just a happy guy who watched sports and had a few drinks until midnight. This didn't match their claim that he was dying and suffering from chronic dementia.
I don't remember all the questions, but they asked who's the person that fills your body. He had a pill bottle,
Pill count.
and I was the one that filled the pill count
Okay.
at night or once a week. And so I had to count each one and so forth, and everything, came out exactly.
As it should, because you didn't use any of
I
those.
didn't use any of those. Or
You
any of
used the
the-
ones that your sister brought.
That's correct.
Let me ask you, who decided to, or was it a joint effort, and who decided to use her pills versus his? Was that just a joint thing?
Hers.
Was hers Linda's? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And it makes sense. I understand what you're saying. Let's make sure we're clear on what you're telling me. I
Right.
understand.
Yeah.
The police then asked the next question. Did anyone else know about what they had done?
Who else have you told about this or talked about it? I know who was there, but since this point.
The only person is this monster of a man that I met this.
Do you mean he's a big person, or what do you mean
No,
he's a
I'm
monster?
saying he is a very bad
He's a bad person, is what you're saying. Okay.
I met him, I went out with him 4 times.
Right.
His name is Anthony Marsh.
Okay.
He sat me down on the couch and he said, I want you to tell me the truth. He said, your sister told me something and I want to hear it from you. I want to hear what your side of the story is opposed to what she said. And right then I knew that my sister had obviously told him.
Right.
And he said that she told him that it was my idea.
But there was one thing that stood out. During Anthony Marsh's recording, Linda revealed that Maribeth was bankrupt and that her father's property could help her get back on track. The police, of course, asked about that as well.
Money was never the object of it. It was watching my father suffer. I've lived on my own. I dated off and on, but no one serious. I took care of myself.
Okay.
I didn't do it for money.
I understand that.
That never, ever.
It was not part of this.
If it would have been anything, I would have signed the money away. And honestly, whatever I inherited, it went all to my children.
Okay.
I did buy a condo. A mobile home, and I did buy my father's car, and the rest went for my children, my grandson's private school and so forth. Not that I'm trying to.
No, I just want to get a clearer
Right.
picture of what's going on. Obviously.
So she told him it was my idea. I did it because I had filed bankruptcy. I had no money, and it was.
All of that not true.
I did all of that.
All of it not true, though.
And all of it's not true. It was
Because it was
absolutely.
your sister's
it was
idea.
my sister's idea.
Just like you described to us.
Yes.
Exactly how it happened.
However, unfortunately, I'm not playing tit for tat or anything, but we have had a very rough year because my sister is a pathological liar. She's evil. I'm sorry.
Your sister is?
Yes. Evil person.
Maribeth denied every claim, and just like Linda, blamed it all on her sister.
I hate to bring this part of this up, but I'm going to have to.
Yes,
It's going to come out, and I don't want to try to get in your business too much. This 4 times that you saw this Anthony person, you're saying?
Yes. Did I have relations with him?
Yes.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. And then you decided to break it off, and all that's still true.
Yeah,
It just happened the way it happened.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
I have it. I blocked him immediately that
Okay.
night that I did, and I've never, ever, and she, till this day, she still thinks that I have a secret way of talking to him and so forth.
See, She's jealous?
She's jealous of me.
Even though you're not, that's not happening.
No, I found a wonderful man that I've been dating now 6 months, and remarkable person I've ever met my entire life.
Right.
And she was jealous of that.
And she wanted that.
So
She wanted that,
she
so
wanted
I'm starting to see where we're going here.
Maribeth made it seem like the whole Anthony Marsh fiasco had turned into a sibling rivalry, claiming that Linda was trying to frame her. Regardless, based on the information she provided, the police decided to arrest her. However, the cops weren't buying the motive the sisters gave. They believed something more sinister was at play. To dig deeper, they brought in Maribeth's daughter, who also lived at the house. She revealed that her grandfather wasn't suffering as much as they claimed, and he wanted to spend his final days in peace.
He was adamant about not going to an assisted living.
And what did your mom say and Linda say about that?
They argued with him about it. Like, you need to go. You need to be watched 24/7. Like, kind of like they felt like it would bother me, which my grandfather and I had both agreed that it was not a problem for me to stay and take care of him. He was happy at this point.
Right.
You know, he was happy playing cards with me and watching Price is Right all day and going to lunch. Like, he had a life. He did not want to be stuck in an assisted living facility with old people, as he called it, because I'll just die there. And that's what he said.
Okay.
He did not want to go there. But they were not happy with his decision.
The 2 nights prior, my mom and my aunt were there.
Did they always stay there?
They didn't. I was staying there. Like, they'd come visit him, but I was the one after Shirley died that they wanted to move in.
The investigation had reached a turning point. Detectives brought in Linda, hoping to uncover the real motive behind her father's death. What she didn't know was that officers already had a recorded confession, clear, detailed, and damaging. But Linda stuck to her story, calm on the surface, denying everything. The pressure was building, and what you're about to see is the moment she tries to cover a crime that was already uncovered.
I was looking at a report. So your father's deceased, right?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about that?
About what?
About what happened? What happened?
What happened to my father?
Mm-hmm.
The doctor, well, he had, his companion died 3 weeks prior to him.
Mm-hmm.
And he had dementia.
Okay.
And he was going to go into Brookdale.
Okay.
My brothers and sisters and I all decided he was going to Brookdale.
Okay.
So he didn't want to go there, but he had to go there. It was a beautiful place.
Right.
And my sister and I moved in after Shirley died to help take care of my father because he had nobody. I could hear my father had lung cancer 7 years ago.
Okay.
And he was with Shirley, so I wasn't involved in his medical care during that time when Shirley was alive. Well, when I was there, my father he said he felt like he had a stabbing pain in his chest.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this awful cough, very productive. And so I recognized that something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So my niece, who was also staying there, I said, call the doctor, make an appointment. They need to do a chest x-ray, see what's going on with my dad's lungs. He said, my dad told me and my sister, he said, I don't feel good. He says, I'm going to lay down on the couch. And they had 2 rockers on either end. He said, would you mind staying up while I lay down here and sleep?
Okay.
I said, of course, sure we will.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to sleep, snoring away. And it was probably about 2, 3 in the morning. My sister said, why don't we go lay in Dad's bed and get some rest? He's sleeping, he's quiet.
After a few minutes of dodging questions and repeating her story, Linda still believed she was in control, but the detectives were done playing along. Finally, they dropped the truth, and her entire story started falling apart piece by piece.
They gave us a very detailed account of what happened, so I'm just trying to tell you there's no mystery about what happened.
They gave a detailed account?
Yes. I'm not bluffing, and you know I'm not bluffing.
And I'm not. And I'm being upfront with you. Okay? And I know things, and it's time right now for you to, I know it's been weighing in on you all these years, which would be understandable. Okay? It would be understandable. That's normal to weigh in this much.
But I don't believe the person that told you is a trustworthy person, and that.
All right.
Who is that person you're talking about? What are you talking about? You keep saying this person's not trustworthy. What person do you have in mind?
A certain person that.
Well, I know, but what is that person's name?
Anthony Marsh.
Then why is he not trustworthy?
Well, you can look up his criminal background and see that he's been in a lot of trouble.
Okay, and what's your relationship with him?
When I am single, I was seeing him for a short time. I was seeing him.
And when did that start and when did that stop?
It started in probably July of last year, and I still continued to have seen him.
Okay, so it's an ongoing, so it's still happening. So you're not historically past that. That's an in-progress thing still happening. You see him on a routine basis, right?
Well, routine, but I don't know what you call routine.
Okay, I'm not going to split hairs with you. Routine, with the word definition of right. You see him frequently.
At least weekly.
Okay, weekly. We'll settle on that. That's fine. And you feel that this person's untrustworthy?
Very untrustworthy.
Linda was starting to shift focus, blaming the man who exposed her, while still admitting she was seeing him regularly. But the detectives weren't interested in her relationships. They were closing in on the truth, and now they were about to confront her with something she couldn't explain away.
Then if he's so untrustworthy, why are you still with him?
Probably for the same reason I was with Ted.
Okay. Let me ask you this. What do you think about, as your sister? You guys get along?
Well, we have our whole life just got along. Recently had a little mishap in our life, but yes, we love each other.
So you love each other. So
we left the apartment loving each other.
Okay. And does she tell you everything?
Oh, I don't know if she tells me everything.
No.
By everything you mean?
Everything. I mean,
we talk, but.
What's your relationship? Are you guys like best friends?
Yes, we were very close.
So you trust her?
Yes.
Okay, let me just walk you through this a little bit, just to bring you up to speed. Okay, the conversation that you had with Mr. Marsh.
Yes.
We were listening to that conversation. Okay.
Okay.
So we can cut to the chase that there was no joking about this. I have crystal clear clarity, so you can read between the lines, okay? I actually had the same clarity with your sister
You talked to her?
About an hour ago. So I'm going to tell you one more time. You're not going to come out on the end of this in a very good fashion because you're telling the truth about what happened. We try to give you ample opportunity to tell what happened, but now you know that I know what happened.
I wanted to know who told it.
I just told you that.
Okay.
So we're going to cut through the BS. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. Now answer his questions and let's move forward with this. Okay? Do you understand?
I understand, but you don't have to be rough with me.
Ma'am, I've given you 3 or 4 opportunities to tell the truth, and we were very upfront with you, and you're not being upfront with us. He said, I'm going to be very upfront with you about what happened, and you kind of disrespected him a little bit by not doing that. I'm just trying to put us on the right path here. Do you understand that? Okay. We will be fine, but I can't have you wandering off the reservation. Do you understand?
I understand.
Okay, so now let's walk through this again.
So talk to us a little bit now.
Okay.
Tell me
my
the truth.
sister and I were lying in bed, and my father had dementia. He was calling both me and my sister by my mother's name. I knew he was dying because he had this mass in his lung, cancer. And she said to me, she held my hand and she said, I can't remember the exact words, but you can't let Dad suffer like this. And we were both crying. And so she said, can we euthanize him some way to put him out of his misery?
Who said this? I didn't hear that part.
I don't know who said it.
But it was said, is what you're saying.
It was said.
Just may I understand what you're saying. Go, continue, sorry.
And I said, well, he takes his double sleeping pills, so we could give him a few more sleeping pills, and he would just go to sleep.
Detectives were now trying to understand what drove Linda to do this. At the time, she was in a relationship with Anthony Marshall, but she was also still in contact with her abusive ex-husband. Their marriage had been violent, and even after getting a restraining order, she kept going back. To the detectives, one thing was becoming clear. This wasn't just about abuse. It looked like Linda had killed her father for money and property.
What made the decision to do this? Why did it prompt that night?
When the doctor called and told me,
You have no idea.
I know.
It was, that more likely it was going to be fatal. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay.
And he was in such misery and mentally so out of it that you know the rest of the story.
My guess is, let me ask you this. You must have been torn about this. I mean, you know,
I was terribly torn about it.
I understand you had your father that's there and he's suffering, but you know, ultimately this was not proper or not lawful. Let's put it that way. You're a smart person.
At the time, I felt I was euthanizing my father and helping him.
I understand that.
That is my honest answer I
Okay.
give you.
But looking back and looking at it, I mean, you're smart. You got your certification. You're with the, for an assistant, okay, medical assistant. You're a smart lady. I mean, do you think that's lawful for someone to do?
Take the morality out of
As
it.
Anthony told me, no, it was not lawful.
You don't, let me ask you this, you don't know independently of Anthony telling you that whether that was right. Forget was it morally right or anything. I'm just saying lawfully, you had to know that was not lawful. That it was legal to do that.
No, I guess it is not legal to do that.
Right. Because if it was legal to do that, you would have came out and just told us what happened. And you didn't do that. You knew there had to be a downside to this.
Already told me that it was not legal to do what we did. I felt I euthanized him and put him on the sleeping.
I understand.
I have nothing else to say.
No, I understand. But that's because you saw your dad was suffering. I totally understand that. But if you take that part of it out, the act of just doing that is not lawful, is what I'm trying to say. This is where we're at. That's why there's a problem.
With her father's death, Linda stood to gain not just property, but control over the family home, something that could bring immediate relief to her financial burden. The pieces were beginning to fall into place. This wasn't about relieving her father's suffering by euthanizing him. This was about money. The motive was now clear, but detectives wanted to be sure. So they left Maribeth and Linda alone in the room and listened. No questions, no pressure, just the two of them talking freely. What they said confirmed everything and ended with the one thing they both feared most.
Oh, I don't know what to say. Can I say anything?
You didn't say anything to them?
Yes, I tell them.
That's what did I. Because you told so much.
I know. Because I thought I could trust him.
Everything's recorded in here. And
I already asked.
I already told him I knew it was. He came to my house.
Who did?
And
When?
Thursday.
And he told you he was going to do this?
Told me he wanted to speak to me. Scared the shit out of me in my driveway. In my car. In the garage. Because I had to talk to someone very important. I had no idea what could be so important. He insisted I let him in the house. He told me what he told him that he was trying to blackmail.
What do you mean?
Have sex with him or he'll turn me in. I said, turn me in, I'm curious. I have nothing to say. But he came back, crying again. This is what I'm doing. I thought I could trust him. Why? I was having a hard time. I was having dreams. He wasn't speaking to me. I had no one to talk to. You weren't speaking to me either. Now look at us. We're going to jail.
The sisters were clearly in shock, realizing just how deep they've gotten into this mess. What they thought they could keep hidden is now coming to light. There's no easy way out. They're scared, and the weight of it all is starting to hit. 4 years after the crime, justice was finally served. Maribeth and Linda Roberts were charged with first-degree murder after reaching a plea deal that avoided a trial. Linda was sentenced to 20 years in prison, while Maribeth received a 15-year sentence for agreeing to testify against her sister. The case was now closed, and both women faced the consequences of their actions.